that
All
they
right,
shared.
all right. Welcome back everyone. Since nandito tayo, medyo British tayo today. We're gonna be prim and proper. Wala masyadong bardagulan. Kasama po natin today someone na I think is perfect to talk to pagdating dito sa controversy na surveys are broken, the worst thing in the world, hopeless case, horrible people, horrible people. So in order to see whether the surveys are really as broken and horrible as some people would suggest, or to be a bit Churchillian, surveys are the worst thing except all others, including Google Trends, right? Kausapin natin today si Prof. Clive Arguelles, who's fresh from his very fresh analytics, including may mga glitches at si Karen going like that sa ANC. Kamusta, Clive? Nakapagpahinga ka ba or your eye bags are competing with mine na?
Oh, I think I also have jet lag minus the being actually on the plane, no? Unlike you. uh, uh, ano lang eh, we had the proclamation kanina. I was also on the live coverage of the proclamation. So apparently I've completed the entire cycle eh. As the voting precincts open, 5 a.m., May 12, then as the proclamation was concluded naman kanina. So yeah. But happy to talk to you. At nainggit ako kasi you have your European trip. I do miss the continent.
Eurotrip. I went to the capitals of three empires, yung mga ganun charot. Pero ang dami ko rin kabardagulan dito. But I'll tell you what, everyone was interested asking me about Philippines here as much as I was asking about sabog din ng British politics, grabe, at saka Hungary. Anyway, the French are still in the mix, so let's talk about them soon. But okay, ganito na lang. Obviously we wear multiple hats at once, diba? I mean, we do our academic work at the same time involved tayo. We're very involved public thinkers. And in your case, Cleve, of course, you're also involved in another sense because you run a major, or at least recently major, diba? Survey agency. So what do you have to say about this argument na wala totally broken ang surveys? Because to be fair about this, again, just to frame the discussion, sa isang banda, as I said, kasi Malupa yata ang kasama ko dun sa, ano, sa interview na yun. And Bongo was there. I said, all surveys naman got correct na Bongo is all number one or number two. So very much within the statistical margin of error. And then Erwin Tulfo still top five, Lacson. I mean, I think you guys got 11 out of 10 or 10 out of 12 correct. But it was a ranking, which was a little bit big off. And that is where actually people say, well, the ranking matters because a lot of tactical voting didn't happen precisely because of the fear na baka ito ay the Ronald Llama school of thought na mga sample lang maglalaban for one slot. I threw someone else under the bus also. And then Jokno, ang Chel Jokno, Congressman like Chel Jokno, raised another even more, in my opinion, logistically important issue, which is dahil kulela sa surveys lahat ng mga pink na apparently hindi pala kulela at the end of the day, ang hirap yung fundraising daw. Kasi ang mga sponsors daw, tinitignan nito. Ako naman, I've seen some internal surveys. I think I forwarded dun sa internal group natin. There was one major corporation who got it almost exactly right, the top five, based on consumer sentiment. So ako naman, kung ikaw ay bilyonaryo, siguro naman meron ka rin mga sources na iba before you make decisions. But anyway, I'm just framing this. So Cleve, wearing your academic hat and at the same time, as someone who was at the forefront of the analytics during elections, what is your take on this?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Richard. This is a great opportunity to discuss, no. So I think I'll start. I'll try to balance both, no, as someone who runs a survey company, but also as someone who's thinking about the public opinion, diba? As a science, no, public opinion research is a science. So because surveys are, it's a scientific enterprise, then we have to deal with it scientifically as well. So we have now meron tayong iba't ibang hypothesis. We're pursuing those hypotheses. So what you'll hear from me are very early insights. No? So we've convened a study committee and then later on, hopefully we'll publish a report. So one of the things is that one school of thinking that we might pursue is that if we think that the surveys were accurate during the time of the survey period. So halimbawa, WR Numerous or survey it was done the last week of April. So there was a bit like of 2 weeks, no, bago yung election day. If we assume that that's to be accurate, then the first hypothesis is that there was a massive shift on the ground, no, between the survey period and the actual election day that resulted into this particular results. So what's the evidence on that particular? So this is what I will do, parang hypothesis and then what's the evidence. So that are also ang ating mga viewers no can evaluate for themselves. The evidence for this particular line of thinking is that if you compare the pre-election survey numbers versus the actual results, no? As you've mentioned, we named kasi 15 people in the likely winning circle, and we got 11 out of the 12 correct, meaning 11 of those people were in the 15, no? So it's only Marcoleta, no, the dark horse, that we weren't able to put in the likely winning circle. And if you compare that, no, makikita mo na it's the ranking that's quite problematic, no? Kasi you got all the names right, no, but the ranking is really really jumbled. Pero ito yung evidence, no? Um Meron lang two major swings yung numbers ng survey at saka ng final election. The first swing is that all of the Alyansa candidates literally had a double-digit collapse. So, halimbawa, someone like Tito Sen, no, that former Senate President, or Pia Cayetano, both declined in terms of percentage points, no, 11%, no. So halimbawa in our survey, we were looking at around 37% of the votes, no, being given to them. But by the end of the election day, no, that's almost 25 or 26% lang of the votes cast yung nakuha nila. And this is kind of like the story for the Alyansa candidates, no, more or less. Why is this interesting? Because if there's a lot of statistical noise, medyo dapat imposible din na specific na political group na sabay-sabay lang silang bumaba. And I'm telling you, when I look at the numbers, it's really Alyansa lang yung nag-collapse. Ngayon, the other swing is that merong massive naman na increases among non-Alyansa candidates, no? So specifically, yung sina Kiko and Bam, no? So halimbawa, the difference, and ito nga yung sinasabi namin, no, the difference nga kay Bam is around 8%, no? We thought he could get 37%, no? We thought that he could get 29%, no? But he ended up with around with 37% more or less, no? So if the Alyansa candidates declined by 10 percentage points, and then Kiko ba parang nag-add ng 10 percentage points. Ito yung massive shift. And the end result is that nag-jumble sila sa ranking, no? So it could be that at the last minute talaga, ito yung unang explanation or possible hypothesis is that medyo iniwanan talaga ng mga kababayan natin yung Alyansa candidates, because even yung hindi nakapasok sa 12, Manny Pacquiao, also double digit, Bong Revilla, Abby Binay, so consistent eh. And then lahat naman ng non-alyansa, medyo nag-pick up yung numbers nila, kaya tumaas sila. For example, Heidi Mendoza, di ba? May last minute pick up din, ending having a better numbers than Willie Revilla men. So the last thing I want to say about this hypothesis is that so itong nagkaroon ng ground shift is that the average error or deviance nung 2022 election sa mga survey ay 4 percentage points to 5 percentage points. So on average, na-miss natin ng 4 to 5%. Ngayon, halimbawa, yung WR numero, we are between at 7 and 8. So medyo lumaki. And again, I'm saying na this hypothesis, ang explanation na to is that between the survey period and the actual election day, a lot has happened na dumaus-dos yung alyansa to the benefit of the other candidates. So yeah, what do you think?
Just so I was mentioning a while ago, like a consumer sentiment survey internally done. So this one, for instance, if you look at it, it says 21% ng mga voters actually decide on election day, right? So I actually mentioned this last month pa eh. Sabi ko, you never know. Actually, there could be some significant movement, and 21% is amazingly large, especially when you talk about Gen Zs and millennials who collectively are almost 6 out of 10 voters. And last time I checked, this is the highest turnout for any midterms, right? In recent memory. So incredible yung pwedeng maging changes, because people forget your last survey was April. It was not even in May. So gets ko rin na parang why we shouldn't be shocked if we took this into consideration. Kasi I think yung isang naging debate is yung yung elasticity of voting preference, di ba? How elastic it is. I think maraming skeptical doon. Feeling nila basically 2 to 5 months before settled ka na. But once I saw this, I felt there's a lot of room for big surprises. Kaya I was not surprised to be surprised or to see everyone surprised. Even if, of course, Bam's numbers were tremendously high. But then again, there's also the question of logistics and behind the scenes negotiations that the surveys will never capture. So one of the things na binabantayan ko, and again, hindi ito bagong information. Hindi tayo yung parang we saw end of the script and then working in background. We're on the record on all of these things. Yung isa pang minention ko is bantayan nyo yung sample ballots. So actually, days before election, tinignan natin ang mga sample ballot. For instance, in Cordillera region, my region, nakita ko, meron parang medyo heterogeneous and then may BAM, Kiko BAM. In certain parts of Mindanao, meron tayong PDP Laban straight slate and then may Kiko BAM. And then in certain regions, NCR, we saw straight almost Alianza and then Kiko BAM. So it looks like what happened here. We don't have intel on the negotiations behind the scenes, but it looks like Kiko and Bam were convincing enough to both sides for them to see them as a potential swing against the other side. So you had this kind of, kung may perfect storm, ito yung perfect heaven, di ba? Parang all the stars aligned for them. And that's negotiation, nego yan eh. And well, contingency yan. It could have been also pure luck in certain cases. So unfair naman to expect surveys to capture that kasi negosasyon na yan. Or, it could be some tactical contingency na hindi natin makakapture. But having said that, I think we have to admit nevertheless, di ba, na although I've been sarcastic kasi ako sabi ko, akala ko hindi na kayo naniwala sa survey, puro Google Trends na lang. But I think I understand where people come from when they said, kung alam lang namin na ang laki pala ng chance ni Bam and Kiko to rank so high and so good, eh di sana nag-Heidi na rin kami all in, di ba? Or baka si Luke pa and all. Because parang in retrospect, Heidi actually had a very good chance, di ba? Parang ang awareness niya, laki ng ceiling niya, at yung conversion rate niya, taas. And yung L2LC corridor, L2L corridor also, she did very well. Not too far from Kiko, for instance. So if only she had more, exposure, mobilization, organization in other regions, to the north and to the center, if not the south, she could have been she could have been the Marcoleta of the other side, right? Because Marcoleta really overperformed.
Yes, and I definitely understand where people are coming from. I think kaya sabi ko nga we've convened a study committee. We take it seriously, no? Kasi syempre yung mga polls, 'di ba, mga polling organizations, you come to the public and offer your survey results. So syempre, you also take it seriously when they have feedback. And this is a learning opportunity, no? And in fact, parang as someone nga who really of course, no, coming to your program to discuss the value of surveys, no? Si even halimbawa yung sinasabi na last minute na siningit sa sample ballot si Kiko Bam, no? O kaya naman nag-strategic voting ang mga supporters nila, maybe they just voted for Kiko Bam, no? Kasi baka malaglag. Those things, I think we've learned that because also we've seen in the surveys. Halimbawa, the Alyansa, the Marcos camp, no, yun nga, ngayon baka may parang may tampuhan na ata sa loob ng Alyansa kasi nga some of the sample ballots, may Kiko Bam, no?
Drop yung iba, yeah.
Oo, di ba? May Kiko Bam. Pero if Malacanang, di tayo privy to the negotiations, di ba? Pero if Malacanang made that decision, I think it would have been because they saw in the surveys na may chance si Kiko and Bam, and therefore, to protect themselves against more DDS, Duterte-aligned candidates, let's just swing more votes for them, di ba? And then also, ganun din yung mga iba na nagkikikobam lang ng mga ordinaryong mamamayan. So I guess ano naman, di ba? At least, sabi ko nga, if it informed many different camps and also voters yung survey to give us these results, I'll happily take it kahit medyo yun nga, it's an ongoing conversation kung nagkamali, broken ba yung surveys and all, and I think we just have to face that, no? Yun naman yun, public responsibility.
Absolutely. And yun nga, like I like na hindi tayo defensive sa tone natin and also we will defend the science of surveys, but at the same time we have to accept parang may pagka-COVID. You know what I'm saying? Like may pagka-pandemic yan. I always tell, diba, I don't know if I told you, my first course was dentistry, right? So one of the first thing I learned in physiology was hindi 100% science ang even physical sciences, right? Which is it's still probabilistic. It's differential analysis. There could always be some variable na even the best doctors could not see, maybe even AI. So when I transitioned to social science, I said there's even more room for contingency here, right? So I think people first of all have to accept na it's probabilistic. It's not 100%, hindi tayo Madam Auring, right? And there is always a reason to explain if why there was some sort of deviation. And I'm glad that you specified the standard deviation na slightly higher than, let's just say, the mean number, I would say. And that's a good admission. And I think um you know I think that's a constructive way to move forward. I think siguro after this, mas kailangan natin magkaroon ng public education on why still we have to care about surveys. Kasi you don't want to go from a situation of, okay, surveys are not perfect, let's just go and do some mumbo jumbo, right? It's like, okay, let's not do vaccines, let's just do, I don't know, drink some weird stuff, right? You don't want to go down that road. I didn't want to specify, baka we'll get into problems. Hindi naman ivermectin ang tinitira ko, but do you get what I'm saying? So, anyways, before we get accused of being the Joe Rogan of politics, um, I want to go back to this clip. Don't you think kasi baka ang nangyari din, ang basa ko rin kasi dito, Clive, is, okay, now let's do the post-mortem na, ano. So I think we'll leave it at that kasi I think we'll have more discussions on the surveys. We need more studies. People have to come together. Again, I'm disappointed walang exit polls because I'm very, very curious to know how Gen Z's, yung granular level, voted here. Because I think all of us can agree that the Gen Z's were the decisive factor most likely. But again, we want to be political scientists about this rather than just pundits about this, right? So again, ang frustration ko is yung exit polls. Okay, can you explain bakit wala naman tayo exit poll? Dahil mahal, dahil expensive, it couldn't be. Yun nga, ako kasi I keep on saying exit polls lahat ng survey. Sabi ko, otherwise, we're just making educated guesses here, to be honest.
Yes, ano yan, no? It's an issue of cost, no? Because if you will look at yung parang history ng exit polls, no? Ano naman yan, 'di ba? Parang I think there was one with ABS-CBN, no? Parang several rounds, and then eventually with TV5, no? Ano kasi it's very costly because the sample size required is high, no? The last time that SWS did an exit poll in 2016, the sample size is 45,000 plus. Para to give our, 'di ba, para yung ating mga viewers an idea, 'di ba, our
So more
regular
than
national
10, more
survey
than
is
10, 15 times the usual sample size or
yes,
something.
it's just
Yeah.
1,2 to 2,5. Malaki na if you make it 2,500, 'di ba? There are some privately commissioned na talagang nagte-10,000, but 45,000, that's a and remember that you have to complete the exit poll within the same day. So 45,000 within the same day. So that really requires a massive parang logistic setup, very very costly, and unfortunately no one's picking up the tabs, no, in this particular elections for this, no. I think I suggested to our friends in mga NAMFREL, no, and other election stakeholders that they might want to take a look at this kasi yung kasi parang nag-iisip din tayo, nagso-soul searching din yung halimbawa yung mga ibang election stakeholders in the time of automated elections. What now is the role of organizations like NAMFREL? 'Di ba? Kasi dati they stay in the nagbabantay
Bantayan
talaga
talaga
sila,
yung balota, oo.
dagdag bawas, but it's automated now. Ang bilis pumasok ng boto. So I was
Baka if
making
they
that
need to do something else, that's what you're saying.
yes, I was making that pitch, no, to be honest, that uh maybe the best parang way to make sure that walang funny things na nangyayari sa election natin would be to have an exit poll and a proper one at that. And I also extended parang this conversation to other competitors sa survey industry na if you even want na magtulong-tulong tayo because it's a big of a task, then we can do it, no, na let's divide the country, di ba? One part of the country, isang grupo, and then we will take on
Oo,
very
compartmentalize.
important
Oo,
eh.
makes
Like
sense.
yung question mo sa Gen Z, di ba? We don't know for sure. Yeah.
Also of demographics din, yeah. Yeah, actually, yun nga eh. Would focus group discussions post-elections help in a semi-randomized way? Like, let's take some Gen Zs from, I don't know, Northern Mindanao, Northern Luzon, Southern Luzon, Visayas, Eastern Visayas. I mean, kasi feeling ko, ang laki nung naging factor eh. Because it looks like, at least ako, di ba, I know you've probably seen some of the Kalya survey, whatever I did, which are obviously not scientific, but I tried to be as
Konyo survey.
Konya survey, of course, of course. The BGC one was interesting because we caught up with some folks now. It looks like, more D1, C or B, ganon. And I was very impressed with their answers. Probably they were the best answers I got. Very nuanced. Gusto nila ng gradual change, pero decisive enough. And I'm sure na if off the record, they would have been even more comfortable to say. Kasi napansin ko yung iba, pag wala yung microphone, ganon, ang daldal eh. Sobrang tuwan-tuwa natatakot lang sila. So, actually, that raises also a question, right? Because sa US, if you look at the New York Times, for instance, they were very open about their problem of getting people to be honest in surveys because of the climate of polarization. And napansin ko, it's not only the prestige of mainstream media or mainstream journalists which is under assault. Even trust in them is actually on a moving in a different direction. So napansin ko, pag nakipagchismisan lang ako sa tao, okay sila. But once a microphone or camera comes up, or they get a sense this guy has a mainstream media or something like that, suddenly now conscious yung iba. Of course, you have the usual people who like the limelight and all, given na yan. But it's not as much as before. Parang before, tuwan-tuwa tao to deal with mainstream media, or although did that for my even podcast, not even for my mainstream work, di ba? So I was wondering, are you guys also looking at that angle, or you're noticing that again? I know this is a sensitive question, but in the US, at least they're open about it, na tinatanggap nila na minsan nahihirapan sila, so they didn't capture some of the Trump voters, for instance, yung mga quiet voters, or they maybe some people wanted to vote, I don't know, for Biden, and they didn't want to admit it kasi nakakaya daw. So Biden claims he has an internal survey that says he could have won it. Do you get what I'm saying? So suddenly the physics is changing, the ecosystem is changing. Are you noticing that, or do you think we should look at that aspect too?
I definitely worth taking a look, no? Baka merong kasi I think ang isa sa pwedeng influence ng ating mga, if our assumption here is that maybe some of the young people are hiding their preferences, no? Pwede kasi that if we assume that young people as well are sila yung mas exposed to social
Hindi
media,
lang young people. Sorry Sir Click for cutting you.
others as
For
well.
instance,
Right?
I noticed like yung sa Makati, nung kinausap ko yung mga and Manila, yung dalawa na yan, dahil grabe yung hidwaan nung yung mayoral race. Parang, actually sa Manila, mas nahirapan ako sa mayoral race kaysa yung national. Parang senador, okay lang. Pero nung may, kasi, uy, baka isko tong nila, or you get what I'm saying, or dun sa laban ng dalawang binay. Nakikita mo na ilang yung iba sumagot. Parang, yeah, nag-improve naman sa ilalim ng binay, and then they want to go into details kasi it would mean they're either Team Abby or Team Nancy. So, I felt hindi lang polarization at the national level. Yung mga local na highly contested dynastic races din created some nervousness among some people. So I'm just saying it's not a Gen Z thing. I noticed that with some people, even from Gen X and above.
No, I mean, okay. I mean, I was about to say, and I think it still somewhat extends naman, halimbawa key urban areas na my worry kasi is that no, it's a possibility that some of us are hiding our true preferences kasi then surveys have been weaponized so much. 'Di ba? Parang pagka nabababad ka sa conversation na, ay, eto, ano yan, pro Duterte, eto, pro Marcos yan. So when you talk to survey companies, nagtatanong sila, and then 'di ba, ang isisip mo ay baka ano to, depende sa itsura, baka kalaban to ng gusto ko. So I won't ano na lang, I won't give them the true information. I will try to yeah. But we don't know for sure if that's something that's systematic, no? But I guess ano kung yun yung isa sa mga nangyayari, it has ano naman, no, parang we can reasonably infer that it's possible dahil nga dito sa mga ganitong conditions, right? So, for example na lang, in our experience doing field work in some parts of Mindanao, definitely it comes up, no? It comes up as a question, no? Of course, we're non-partisan, we're a private company, we discuss extensively that bago gumawa ng interview, pero nagtatanong ang mga taga ibang probinsya sa Mindanao, pro Duterte ba kayo? Sisiraan nyo lang si Duterte sa survey nyo. So, di ba, parang may ganun talaga. And on a barangay level, some barangay officials won't let us in kasi sasabihin na, kakampi ba kayo ni Mayor? Kasi kakampi ako ni Mayor eh. And then if you say na, ano po kami, non-partisan, wala po kaming kinakampahan, sasabihin nila, ayaw namin kasi gusto namin, kakampi lang namin yung
Yung
pumapasok
pa, di
dito
ba?
sa...
It's not only the polarization. They want partisan survey, even questions. So it's like going to the next level. Eh. No. I noticed even yung sa Konya survey na ginawa ko, like I was consciously not correcting anyone. Like even if brazenly mali, like misogynist yung sinabi or brazenly like what? I didn't show anything, tumatawa lang ako and I would just like make them feel comfortable. Kasi napansin ko, the moment you contradict them, ay, dilawan ka pala eh. Ay, ano ka eh. Yung BBM bangag ka eh. Di di ba? So I was like consciously just listening mode, like, or ano lang, like neutral, kulitan lang, Socratic method, no questioning, nothing, whatever. Because napansin ko, like, this is Manila pa, this is NCR pa, we're not, so I'm sure it's even harder in certain regions, whether it's Ilocos Norte, na very BBM, and then to the south, na very DDS, di ba?
And I think 'di ba parang ano din parang kung ordinary sense lang yung gagamitin natin. Ano naman it's not hard to imagine that you talk to people and if distrust yung unang pumapasok sa iyo sa kahit sino 'di ba parang kahit katabi mo lang sa public transport, if it's feeling of distrust, you're really unlikely to be more truthful in your preferences, di ba? Parang you have to protect yourself, you have to kind of like project an image, no? And so I think we've covered this, Richard, in some of our previous conversations na sabi ko nga yung surveys part talaga siya nung broader na challenge on some of our institutions, no, including the media, the academe din, ganyan na din yung tingin for some of our universities, 'di ba? So medyo nagta-tie together, 'di ba? So that might be a problem. What I want to note lang is at the very least, no, hindi siya katulad nung time ng ni Duterte, no, the former president, because at that time marami talagang pag-aaral na people were hiding, 'di ba? A good amount of people were hiding their true preferences and attitudes, no? Out of fear, no? Especially in some parang concerning areas,
Yeah.
no?
Kung maraming
So,
EJK sa barangay mo or desperate ka sa ayuda, why on earth would you risk anything, right? I mean, I'm not saying we're Russia, but di ba, my analysis of that started with analysis of the Russian surveys. Like, di ba, parang the running joke is basically dalawa lang answer, Putin is the best or I wanna fall off the window. Di ba, parang ganun lang yun, di ba? And maybe I'll go for number one. Kaya ang Putin is always 70% above, di ba? Like, di ba, obviously we're not Russia level, but even if we are one-third of that level, I think with some of our friends, I had back and forth on this fear factor issue. Ako naman, I just appreciate na, kasi ganito, basically lang, we're trying to explain why that deviation uh, medyo nag-increase. We're not saying na walang kwenta yung surveys. We're just saying that when you put these factors, it may explain the standard deviation addition of 2% or 1%. But yun yung, so I think people have to understand this is a very nuanced critique. Hindi ibig sabihin wala nang kwenta. We don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We're just saying the bathwater got a little bit more than usual, right? So medyo you have to handle the baby a bit better, right? With more care, right? I think people, para lang mag-gets ng tao where we're coming from, right?
and sometimes I think it also gets lost na when we presented our surveys, 'di ba, in the past, no? I mean, of course, si Richard kasi you know your surveys and then so you don't end up committing these mistakes. But sometimes, di ba, when we present it and talk to the general public and also to the general media, di ba, sometimes it gets lost yung nuances because all of our releases, we point always na this is an estimate. For example, if you look at our and I'm not lying, if you look at our Philippine Public Opinion Monitor na reports, yun yung full report namin with all of the methodological details, there's always a final note that margin of error is only one among many other sources of error in an exercise such as a survey. Because that's true, di ba? That's how surveys work. So yun, kaya siguro ngayon, and I guess also a good thing na because survey firms had a really good track record until this, kaya mataas din yung expectations, no? So that's why we're facing this, no? But just allow me to parang go back a bit, no, na isa sa mga pwede ding plausible na explanation is the undervoting, no. I'm sure you've heard this, you've talked about this, Richard,
Yeah,
no.
which is relevant to the tactical voting issue.
Yes. Yes, and hindi mina-maximize ng mga tao yung maximum votes allowed in the Senate. So meron na tayong numbers total voters, that's around 57 million who casted their votes, no. Ano yan ang, 'di ba, mataas yung turnout natin for this midterms. if you look at the maximum number of votes for the Senate position, dapat around 688,000 yan. But that's not the case. It's around 688 million dapat. So ang lumabas 428 million yung total votes cast, no? So ano lang to, no? Easy math lang. Total voters times mo sa 12 kasi yun yung maximum number of votes, yun yung maximum possible votes. So if you look at that, merong one-third ng mga votes na unused, meaning may mga tao talaga na hindi nila ginamit, sinagad yung 12 na binoboto. And just an aggregate na average lang, when I run the numbers, it looks like people voted for between 6 to 8 candidates on average, no?
Which is not
Malaki yun,
shocking. Which is not shocking.
yeah. Yeah. So malaki yun na ang iniiwan nila ay almost one-third of the seats, di ba? Kaya pwedeng mag-end up talaga na medyo jumbled yung results because of that, right? And last thing, and I also want to note na if you look at the numbers also of the winning senators ngayon, mababa yan ha, compared to the previous elections, no? Halimbawa yung 15 million ni Kiko, number 5, no? But that's not, parang ano yan, nasa 11 or 12 lang yan in the 2022 elections, no? Pero
Ay, Bam
number
was
5,
like 14 million nung natalo siya nung 2019, di ba? And now,
yes,
pasok ka with 14 million. Pumasok si Amy, pumasok si Camille, di ba?
exactly, no? 13, oh yeah. So medyo bumaba, and I get that's the effect of undervoting. Medyo lower yung threshold to win, no? It's really just a different elections, and I'm happily and personally pleasantly surprised. But that's the challenge. Yung kung nag-undervote yung mga kababayan natin, especially baka towards the end na nila na-realize na mag-undervote sila, it gave us really different results.
So that's the paradox about very high turnout but undervoting, right? Especially sa Senate. It's a very interesting paradox. I mean, the other paradox I noticed with this election is sobrang positive messaging halos lahat ng mga successful candidates. I mean, Bongo barely talked about anything except malasakit and welfare issues. Bam, the few times he was asked on the ICC Sara issue, basically just worked around it very loyally and said, focus tayo sa edukasyon, ganun. Even Kiko, you would expect to go a little bit, guns blazing, he was also focused on food security. Medyo na sobrang lang siguro yung food vlogs niya, but in the end, who can argue with this victory, right? Although you're right to say 15 million is relatively not that high by historical standards, but so actually what happened is that I think yung positive messaging among many candidates helped Duterte side and also helped the Pink, but not the administration. Because yung administration ay bugbog na agad, di ba? Bugbog na sila dun sa issue ng budget, yung worst budget ever, worst budget ever. And then of course yung issue ng ICC, I felt the president really and his team absolutely didn't come up with a very strong legitimization narrative, di ba? Parang medyo sabog din all over the place. So on the Ayuda issue, PhilHealth issue, very unconvincing. On the ICC issue, I think all over the place, to be honest. And I think eventually that came back to haunt them, di ba? So this is why you have underperformance, significant underperformance. Kaya maganda yung mention mo yung vote numbers eh. Kasi it's more probably of underperformance by admin than overperformance. Di ba? Kasi dialectical yan, di ba? So kasi hindi rin gano'ng kataas ang vote nung top 5 ka na with 50 million votes. That's I mean, Robin Hood got how many votes nung last time? Like close to 30 million ba or something. So, and you
26,
imagine,
26.6.
yeah, but the population was smaller, the turnout was low,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's incredible number.
Yes.
In fairness kay Bongo, we expected more than 25 million votes. He got it. And Bato almost number 2, no? Very close pala sila ni Bam. So I think that's another paradox I noticed na it was a very non-negative campaigning which ended up helping actually the opposition. Usually, di ba, pag negative campaigning, ang ina-attack yung admin and each other. Hindi nangyari yan eh. Like parang everyone said, bubog na yung admin, they're not doing a good job explain, and then let's just be nice to each other, wag tayo magbanggaan. And in the end, the big winners were Kiko and Bam, but also definitely the DDS side. Which brings us to the second part of our discussion, really I think this is the forward-looking part. So kanina we did the parang retrospective, ano kaya mga posibleng explanation or hypothesis dito sa standard deviation differentials by historical standards. I think we did a pretty good job to explain to people bakit slightly more than usual, diba? That doesn't mean walang kwenta yung service. It just means probabilistically speaking, it was a bit less accurate But then again, it was a snapshot of April you provided, not May 12, right? Or even May 5 or 1. Now, this is the last part, and I think this is very important. Cleve, so how do you see this? Because my hypothesis right now, and I'm working on a Journal of Democracy piece actually, and this is actually mas magulo ang politika natin after this election. I think the headlines are deceptive. The headlines that, oh, BBM is shattered. Well, last time I checked, he's still gonna have the Congress run by his cousin. Most of the local officials are from his side. Winning 5 or 6, depending how you classify Camille, which tells you a lot, right? It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Winning half of the seats for the Senate and 90% of the seats for everything competitive. He still has the levers of power. So I think this idea that tapos na si BBM, lame duck na siya, that's more wishful thinking or partisan analysis. At the same time, with the Duterte side, yeah, definitely. They have 4 or 5 people on their sides already, and probably half a dozen others who are skeptical inside. Who knows, maybe the trial may not even take place, or if it takes place, it might not be an optimally organized one. But having said that, it's not like DDS ran over everyone else, right? It's a, they still have serious issues. Even some of the mayors who are close to the DDS side who won in this election cycle, they have to play it nice with the administration because LGUs need the national government. So I'll just be open, but I don't think Magalang or Isko are gonna go all out against the government in the coming years. They'll have to work with BBM. They need the budget and support. Hindi ko na alam dun sa governor ng Cebu, ibang usapan na yan. I don't know enough about Cebu to make final judgment on that. But so then again, it's not very straightforward. In fact, Sarah herself said, diba, that she's slightly disappointed with the result, which is quite interesting, right? And not to mention Bongo doing so well means Bongo can credibly claim that he should run for the presidency in 2028. To be honest, and I'm not making a normative endorsement. I'm just saying Bongo is doing so well. And then if you go to the Pinks, amazing ranking, number 2, number 5, this and that, but it's just 2 votes, right? Numbers game lang yan. And it looks like the tactical voting did not work. Late pa masyado yung endorsement ni Lenny. Was it not forceful enough? And we mentioned it. Did the surveys kind of make people skeptical about tactical voting? So if you look at it, actually parang mas magulo yung landscape afterwards because everyone has a win and a lose. And then ang daming mga permutations na you can look at. And then when it comes to opposition, I've made this point. Clearly, there's a BAM school of thought. And the BAM school of thought is don't get into the fight of the two big guys, navigate through it, and you'll come up on top. I think he has a very strong argument to make, even for the presidency in 2028. Kudos to BAM for that. And then the Kiko one is somewhere in the middle. And then there's going to be the Riza Ontiveros version. I suppose Leila version similar, which is, okay, maybe in these elections it worked, but down the road, you have to be clear about certain major normative issues. Siguro playing safe might not work down the road, both ethically and tactically. So there are also going to be some, I would say, not debates, or at least some discussion about ano bang version ng pink ang dapat makikita natin over the next 2 or 3 years. Ano yung dapat maging positioning sa loob ng Senate in the coming weeks and months. Hindi lang sa issue ng impeachment. Let's say warrant of arrest for Bato comes out. Or how should you position on that, right? I even heard Kiko saying na sana makapag-focus sila dun sa mga bread and butter issues. Yeah, except we're in the middle also of like a meltdown situation, justice issue. EJK may not be bread and butter, but it's a question of life and human dignity. I mean, I don't have to mention that more. Ano bang mas importante? Buhay ka or hindi? Or like buhay ka and you have more food? Of course, food is important, but first thing is life, right? Life, liberty, and happiness. So having said that, Cleve,
Yeah,
do you also see it along those lines? Actually, medyo naging mas modeled for me. Like, I don't think this was a clear win for anyone. And there's so many permutations I can imagine coming from out of the.
Oh, actually 100% nag-agree ako diyan sa medyo fearless for kasi if people think that we've already seen the Bardagulan of the century, I think we haven't, we haven't seen it yet. We are just about to see it na. This will be more chaotic and I think the numbers support that. Why anong tingin ko dito? Anong reading ko dito? Bam and Bongo, Bam Aquino and Bongo, sila lang I think you would characterize as somewhat na medyo may universally appealing na vote coalition. The numbers would, if you look at their heat map, kung saan galing yung mga boto nila, no, at least major places in the Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, you've got some representation. So people wanting to see them in the Senate. But the reason why this is connected dun sa mababang mga parang historically lower thresholds of winning is because if there are only two people na medyo universally appealing, the others didn't have to appeal actually outside to their bases that much. The only thing that they have to do is to, parang nangyayari lang is that you just have to rally your own base and appeal to your own base. And that means na medyo mas bardagulan yun kasi sasabihin mo lang din yung gusto ng base mo. If you look at, for example, kung saan kumuha ng boto si Kiko, Heidi, basically the same areas. If you look at saan kumuha ng boto si Tito Soto, Pia, Cayetano, Ping Lacson, basically same areas. DDS, Bato, Jimmy Bondoc, Marcoleta, almost the same areas as well. And what that means is that magkakanya-kanya, right? Magkakanya, I don't have to appeal to you because at the end of the day, you're not my base. And my suspicion is that lalong dadami yung yun nga na players na I will just pander to my base, support the politics that we all represent, and because anyways, it's enough to get me a seat, re-elected every now and then, 'di ba? So medyo mas magkakagulo. So baka if you're right na maybe Bam and then si Bongo nga no, nakita naman natin yung medyo positive lang yung campaigning nila, positive framing. Maybe itong dalawang to will remain in that camp because anyways they appeal to so many Filipinos. But the others I suspect will continue to parang make political decisions on the basis of what their constituency expects them to do, no? The Kakampinks will probably expect, no, na Kiko will have some parang level na hindi siya parang katulad siguro ni Bam, no? He has to stand ground pa on many issues. Maybe the impeachment has to be more vocal, and then ganun din sa mga Duterte candidates. It might not be expected kay Bongo, di pa nga yan pumunta ng Hague, di ba? But they probably expect it with Bato, for example, that he has to speak for against the impeachment, for example. So yun yung aking parang tingin
So
dyan.
what you're saying is that the incentive structure is higher for Bartagulan after
Yeah.
the election. So obviously,
Yeah.
the two most successful candidates, Bongo and Bam, they just played it safe, focus on positive issue, basically avoiding anything. Even si Bongo, di ba, he was criticized by some Duterte people. Why are you not, guns blazing for Dugang? But what you're saying is that, but Bato almost number two, and Bato's basically neck is on the line, di ba? So he's gonna go Bartagulan. Sara is gonna go Bartagulan. So there's also gonna be some debate about, are you gonna go Bongo with this? Or are you gonna go Bato Sara version with this? In the same way, sa kabila, you can imagine Risa would be much more forthcoming on issues like human rights and EJK, diba? And then siguro the BAM line would be, although ako kasi parang I don't see mutual exclusivity. I mean, you can fight against EJK while fighting for food and healthcare. Honestly, I just feel it's an easy cop out. But again, it was elections, I understand, and it worked, so I cannot argue with that. But I'm just saying, yeah, you're right. The incentive structure is going to be different. And let's be honest, come 2028, um, basically vengeance mode yung isang camp, 'di ba? Like pag bumalik kami, yari kayong lahat. Basically, yun ang messaging nila as early as now. So I don't think kasi kung you're basically threatening mass atrocities when you come back, I think it would be quite untenable to say, oh, let's just focus on I don't know, food vlogs again for 2028. Like, it's like, actually, maraming ma-purge after this kung bumalik ang mga isang camp, diba? And, yun nga, like, it's interesting to see. But then again, if there's one thing I've learned is Philippine politics is so indeterminate, and Philippine politics is less confrontational than most of the other comparative cases I've seen, right? Whether it's India, whether it's Indonesia, and definitely our favorite, Latin America and Eastern Europe, diba? So I think there's something also distinctive and exceptional about the Philippines. But then again, let's see. Is it, is it Riza still gonna? Because on paper, Riza is 100% success rate, at least dun sa mga nasa picture, diba? Lahat sila nakapasok. Checky Bam, Leila, I mean, Akbayan, best performance ever. But then again, but this is our job to look 2, 3, 5 steps ahead. Hindi lang yung nangyari kahapon. So, yes, so far, sobrang nag-work yung strategy na basically just, navigate your way through, don't get involved yung side one. But then again, I think it's hard to avoid that in a few weeks from now when biglang usapan, ano ba, mag-trial ba tayo or hindi? Anong klaseng trial, di ba? So in short, stay tuned for things. Now, last part, really last part of the last part, Cleve. balikan natin yung discussion natin about Project 2028. Um, Obviously, Bam winning, a relatively young face. Actually, he looks younger now than before kasi buff Bam na siya at cute Bam na siya, diba? In fairness to him. Ako yung nagsuggest na yung buff Bam. Although it's not my origin, I say it online. But the buff Bam, I think young Bam makes sense. But also, we have officially a millennial in the Senate. Congratulations to Mom Camille, si Crush. So I'm very happy to see that. Do you think now with the Gen Z stepping up, at least based on educated guess, 2028 would make sense for more young leaders getting involved for, again, our version of Future Forward, Make Forward? Or you think it's just going to be a revamped version of the existing pink or pink yellow Aquino essentially strategy?
Uh, Very relevant question. Magandang closing question to. And dun nga sa FES, no, Everett Steve Tong na election debriefing forum, I said na probably this is a signal that baka kaya na, baka ready na yung ating mga kababayan for a more, 'di ba, move forward yung ating Project 2028 na kasi if halimbawa BAM was able to appeal to so many demographics and was able to penetrate halimbawa in Cebu, 'di ba, 1 to 12 DDS candidates pero he plays 6th. That's something eh.
Interesting.
It's telling us something. And people know him to be, associated with education tsaka jobs, yun yung kanyang message discipline. Baka we're ready for, kasi 'di ba sabi ko nga, one of the things na I really like din naman sa Move Forward, Future Forward would be yung medyo grand yung kanilang social welfare agenda. Baka yan ang way natin to appeal to most demographics in 2028, no? Of course, hindi naman ibig sabihin yan are core concerns, justice, human rights will take a backseat. But also, let's give them a taste of what it means, no, for this kind of candidates to run, no, for the presidency halimbawa, no. So yun yung naisip ko na aside from young people, definitely I think no, there's more opening for young people, but also baka there's more opening din for mga grand ambitious agenda, no, on a parang economic side, no, social welfare side, no. Of course, we've always been ambitious sa defending democratic rights, no, and advancing human rights, no. But maybe this one also we have to be more ambitious and baka salubungin tayo ng mga voters, will, 'di ba? And that will be a good surprise kasi also that will change landscape of Philippine politics. And sabi mo nga indeterminate, but that's a good thing kasi mas sad siguro ako kung
Yeah, it's a
wala.
good indeterminate. But
Oo.
having said that, I will also kind of argue the other side of this, which is it is indeterminate, but if you were to bet, I will still bet on a Duterte comeback because the momentum is clear with them. Bongo doing so well, Bato doing so well that Bato is even parang trolling Hague. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Hague. So what? Diba? Parang ganun eh. So I think momentum is really with the DTS side. So kaya nga, I openly said Duterte comeback is more likely than not, unless others also step up, and step up could mean 1,000 things. And the thing I wanted to discuss here is a third force, diba? Which is Dr. Bello's point of view. We may not agree tactically, but I think there are a third force, but the third force is still very small. Just 2 or 3 votes in the Senate is not really a major force yet, but you can work from there, right? A kind of a linchpin for something bigger. So, what do you think are mga key things that should happen in the coming year or two, para there's an infrastructure for something more decisive come 2028 for a Filipino version of Future Forward? And as I always said, the difference is Philippines is a real democracy, flawed but real, unlike Thailand, no offense, or Russia, where a lot of our heroes come from Navalny to PETA and whatnot.
Yeah, well, now, 'di ba, parang lumalabas na the third force is there's a meeting of the minds, no? Pero it's hard always to just rely on the meeting of the minds, 'di ba? We always go back to this, no? I hope that a party is in the making, no? Meaning that's just an organizational infrastructure to pull together the works of these people in this particular camp, no? Kasi 'di ba ngayon, you have Akbayan, you have ML, and then you have may LP din, 'di ba? May KNP pa si Bam, for example, 'di ba? Then so ang nangyayari ata parang yun nga, medyo mind reading, meeting of the minds, no, rather than actual mobilization na isang organizational mobilization. That has to happen, ha. So yun something in our control. What is outside our control will be things like the impeachment, for example. I mean, if that happens or it wouldn't happen, definitely will affect the 2028 so much, di ba? Tapos yung I also said that we have a Visayas Mindanao challenge. Yes, some of our candidates can mobilize some votes in those areas, but the Visaya speaking Visayas, no, the Cebuano areas, no, Region 7, Region 8, plus the rest of Mindanao, we have to figure out what kind of agenda will appeal to them, diba? Kahit mahati lang sila, because if they will keep delivering votes for Duterte candidates, no, eh di, di ba, yun nga, they have the momentum, it's their elections to win, technically, in 2028 eh. But if we're able to make inroads, no, make inroads, that will be very interesting. Halimbawa, share ko lang na I think Akbayan is in the top 10 party list in Davao City, for example. So if Akbayan can somehow appeal, di ba, to the people of Davao City, then
The third
interesting.
nominee is from Mindanao, and usually at least one of the three nominees is from Mindanao. So my legwork yan. I mean, Ronald Llamas, a lot of them have Mindanao background in terms of their activism, not necessarily where they come from, but so in fairness naman, my groundwork. So I'm not totally surprised them doing quite well. I mean,
Yes, and so yun nga eh. So parang uh, it the idea that so I guess the optimism is that this is a good starting point. But the thinking as well is that back to zero pa rin, diba? Parang let's not assume that this is
yeah,
something that
no,
we could
no
just
room for
realize
complacency.
in 2028. Oo, yeah, yeah.
Okay, just to close this, I mean, they always say you build and they will come, right? But sometimes they don't come. But at least you have to build. That's the thing. Do you think it's important that in the meantime, kasi let's be honest, like kanina lang may makausap ako from mga think tanks dito sa London, right? And grabe yung granular yung debates on immigration, like there are 50 shades of debates on that. Starmer version versus Farage version versus, I don't know, Green version, Corbyn version. And I was saying like, nasan tayo sa mga ganitong klaseng debate, di ba? Very generic motherhood pa rin, I think. No offense to all of our great candidates. It's just that I think our voters deserve more, di ba? Like, okay, gusto ko happy ka, right? I mean, we can, but how do we get that done, right? Like universal healthcare, right? Universal education. These are technical money, fiscal issues, right? Do you think it's important na magkaroon tayo ng legit think tanks? No offense, because most of our purong corporate or basically interest group yung iba eh. Like yung sa case ng Future Forward, did they have like a think tank or something that was really coming up with this really detailed analysis and all? I can only think of FES and some other folks doing great stuff na pwede gamitin ng version natin ng Future Forward. But I mean, in terms of local versions, do you think we need that in terms of really detailed policy analysis and all? Of course, that means resources, organization and all. But we have to start somewhere, right? Kasi otherwise hanggang motherhood statements and paklitan na lang tayo. And then let's just hope voters will be happy with it.
Yes. So actually no, meron silang may tinatawag eh na parang usually described na may triumvirate dun sa Future Forward eh. And the triumvirate actually is more of individual people, but they represent different parang organizational strands in the party. And that means that may intellectual strand yung party, no? So sila yung mas mga actually iba sa kanila philosophers, researchers, academics, data guy, no? Tapos merong mas political operator na strand, no? So that's one of the triumvirate na medyo mas adept in the elite negotiations, no? Yung mga deals because that has to happen as well, di ba? Yung parang sample ballot and all. And then the last would be merong parang person also representing mas really medyo progressive and somewhat really uh, na very militant na youth wing, no? Na talagang medyo they wanted to no compromises. They really want solid position on issues. And that triumvirate I think works really well. So baka pwedeng instead na tao-tao, 'di ba? Sa atin medyo parang organizational
Right.
functional, 'di ba?
Very
Division
good
of
point.
labor pwede.
Yeah, yeah, very, very good point. Very good point. Although you still need the center of gravity, di ba? In their case, they had a billionaire to get the yeah, like let's
Always the money, 'di ba? The center of gravity.
I
So
mean, di ba? Kailangan ano, we need to survive. I mean, doing a proper policy analysis is a whole day job, di ba?
who
People
do
don't,
we
yeah.
appeal to? Saan tayo mag-a-appeal dito sa show mo? Kanino ba? Sino bang tatawagan natin for the center of gravity funding?
Baka naman, although my algorithm now is in London, baka naman may mga city people or mga Russian oligarchs na nakikinig sa atin. I'm just kidding. But kidding aside, I mean, no, I really like that. I think the more we look at things, the more we can think of what things we can get from others. Kasi yun nga, sabi ko, I think Bam has very good instincts, given na yan. I think Riza has very strong political passions, great yan. I think we have great legal minds given na yan. But I think on the policy side, kaya ngayon, dalawa tayo, I noticed we are doing the same. We're promoting also these young kids, sila Ian and mga others are doing this fantastic infographics and analytics, which I feel could be part of the triumvirate. Having this young generation of very tech-savvy, analytics-savvy people to make relatable itong issue ng political strategy. Kasi there's a old school Ronald Llamas way of doing it, which has its appeal. But I think it's also time for us to do this kind of a new school also, very analytics, which is what di ba, yung parang house to house almost level, H to H analytics, yung ginawa ng mga kaibigan natin sa Thailand, di ba?
Well, in fact, no, like I can just imagine the power of, 'di ba, itong sina Ian and all of this young parang data-driven na mga tao na nakikita natin, no? Imagine mo if they are in one place in a war room preparing for an election and like talagang precinct level kasi usually they map precinct level data and that's parang if we know na ganun yung 'di ba parang if we're empowered by that kind of precinct level data as we plan how to build and win elections, that's very powerful and yun yung kailangan natin yung scaffolding to bring everyone together 'di ba parang okay kayong team, that's your job, just really araw-araw just parang himayin yung mga datos no and give it to all of the players no. So maganda siguro nga yung ganun na parang triumvirate. I remember one of the triumvirate pa yung si Anika, which is mas yung parang yung sa youth leadership din is a is a
He was in
is a
Manila, right? Parang nag-drop by siya sa Manila not long ago.
oh,
Last year. Yeah.
di ko na meet no. Parang TV anchor who really knows media really well. Yung ganun din. And I know that we have a lot of people who supports good change in Philippine politics who can also lend that kind of support, di ba? Yeah. So yeah, hopefully there will be
Yeah, let's get the
something.
I mean, like, of course, I'm always encouraged when I see Ann Curtis or Bianca. They share, hindi lang tweet, subtweets. Ibig sabihin, they went through I mean, when they reshare subtweets, you have arrived in terms of having enlightened. No, not talking about like, hindi to self-referential, believe me. It's more like, oh, wow, it's really nice to see this. These celebrities who could be distracted by a million other things are paying attention even to subtweets, technical issues and all. I'm very encouraged by that. So whether it's Ann Curtis, Bianca Gonzalez, we want to see more of that, right? And yeah, down the road they could be involved directly, indirectly, semi-directly, right? We wanna bring these people. Kaya nga sabi ko, hindi lang siguro billionaires ang kailangan natin. Kailangan din natin ng mga ano. Hindi ko alam kung yeah, influencers definitely. Let's see, I might say something. Yung mapahamak na naman ako. On that note, I will close this shop before we turn off more funders and oligarchs. No, I'm just kidding. But
Ingat on your way home.
and thank you so much. Merci. Maraming nagko-comment dito. Dios mio, oh mon Dieu. Medyo sabi nila baka bumalik ang mga mga Duterte. I'm just saying, I was always in the populist comeback school of thought, right? Whether it's Berlusconi, whether it's our good friend Trump, or whether it's Duterte. Kaya I hope people realize where I'm coming from. Hindi ito yung parang I'm throwing a wet blanket on people. Kasi actually, that was what I was saying. This is why I'm happy na I was trained by a political sociologist more than anything else. Is feeling ko meron talaga tayong problema sa microculture. People see this discussion sometimes as disagreement and they see disagreement as personal insult and slight. Sabi nga ni Attorney Conti yesterday, sabi niya, maraming madam damin na tao na ang hirap magsalita. Sabi ko, buti ka madam lang, may mademoiselle pa at monsieur eh. So, I hope lang, like, kaya ako, I try to be super nice in person with people para they realize na I'm not here just to bash people or I know we might sometimes come off as like I know I'm smarter than everyone and all, but I hope people realize this is just our way of pushing the envelope. And sana yung madamdamin na to, we get over it. And we be more Latinos because Latinos can do that, right? Diba magsapakan sila and then they're gonna dance samba and then they're lovers tomorrow, right? And then sapakan ulit, diba? Like I hope we have that kind of micro culture. Because Trapos have that because they have money and all to bind them together. We don't have that. We have our ideals that bind us together, not interest.
Yeah, ano nga, no? Of course, di ba, parang we, hopefully, syempre, we talk to each other in a manner that, doesn't offend, di ba, parang, polite pa din. Pero, politeness cannot be the end all and be all of our politics, right? We have too many big problems, too serious problems na maging madamdamin tayong lahat, di ba? Yeah, I mean, and we are very passionate people. Yun nga yung isang mga dahilan kung bakit it's so nice to be in this company of people. We're very passionate in what we believe in what we want to happen in this country. And sometimes, di ba, that translates to, oy, mas tama yung naiisip ko. At least, di ba, we're fighting for each other's parang thoughts and ideas and spaces, no? Pero tama ka, sana wag na po tayong maging mga madam, no? Sabi ni Chrissy pa, kay Chrissy pa rin galing. Wag na tayong maging mga madam, no? Kasi yun nga, we have a country to win. And, that demands that we set aside those kinds of things, no? Sila nga si Bongo nga, tsaka si Sara
Ayaw ko na magsalita, dinalit ko nga yung post na yun eh. I
Binabawasan yung pag
satirically posted, pero hindi, medyo mahinang satire culture sa atin. So I said, I'll just delete it. Baka may twist na naman nila yan. On that note, merci, monsieur, Cleve, for not being so madamdamin. And wag ka naman magalit kay Ronald masyado. Pasensyaan mo na lang. Kaya nagsishade ako kay Ronald para ma-forgive niyo siya in my behalf. Thank you, brother. Maraming salamat and have a lovely weekend. And hopefully, God willing, talk to you soon in person. Ang dami natin kailangan gawin. As I said, after these elections, I realized we have even more work to do to move in the right
yes.
direction. Because there's hope.
Thank you.
There's hope and there's work. Absolutely. Talk to you soon. God bless, bro. Have a good night.